Emisión.net.
Hello again and welcome to Letter from England, broadcasting for AC Press and the Spanish Evangelical Alliance. My name is Jonathan Dawson. Kidnapped is the title of Moises Campos' biography, which has just been published. Campos was taken from his family by the Catholic Church and held from 1955 to 1967. He was born in March 1946 in La Carolina, in the southern province of Jaén. His grandmother and aunt were both evangelical Christians, and they looked after the boy, naming guardians and making the evangelical pastor in the town the boy's tutor. He lived in La Carolina in an evangelical orphanage and later moved to another in Valdepeñas, a town about 30 miles up the road towards Madrid. Later, to continue his education, he was sent to an evangelical school in Madrid. But just 19 days after his arrival in the Spanish capital, on October the 4th, 1955, he was taken forcibly into care by the Children's Court. Campos says his first night was awful, left alone in a cell. Then they took him out and, without presenting any documentation, alleged that his father had lodged a complaint at the so-called corrupting influences being used on his son. In other words, the fact that that he was in an evangelical school. On this basis, they took him under their so-called protection, which consisted of putting him in a Catholic school under the tutelage of nuns. They taught him Catholic doctrine and christened him the following summer at a church. In one of those ironies of life, situated just a few yards down the road from the Protestant school he had briefly attended and from which he had been kidnapped, or, to use the official term, extracted. He was passed from pillar to post in the name of a full Catholic education, passing through schools in Madrid, Valladolid and Valencia. At least he could say he'd seen a bit of Spain. He heard nothing from his family for almost 2 years, but says he did not want to believe they had abandoned him. In fact, of course, the opposite was true. They were desperately trying to find him and get him back. His tutor, the pastor from La Carolina, and others put lawyers on the case and sought international support for their cause. However, the Children's Court and its ally, the Ecclesiastical Court, and of course in those days State and Catholic Church were one, ruled that the mother was mentally unfit to look after her son, and that this also ruled out any role for the tutor who had been appointed, which was rather convenient. Campos' aunt, Irene, worked for the Spanish Gospel Mission, and news about Moises' kidnapping was published in its magazine. This was published in English and went further abroad. Others wrote and campaigned for what one called a palpable example of the extremes to which religious intolerance in our country is prepared to go. The only reason, of course, the boy had been taken from his family was that they were Protestants and therefore considered unfit to bring him up properly. From their perspective, he was now being taught in a way which went along with the wishes of the state, but very much against, of course, the wishes and beliefs of his family, not to mention his own, and there was nothing seemingly which could be done about it. Custody of the child depended upon a decision by a court which itself operated, to all intents and purposes, under the jurisdiction of the Catholic Church. Several foreign writers took up the case, denouncing the appalling results of church-state union in Francoist Spain. Then, 3 years after his disappearance, Moises Campos was spotted by his cousin, Rossi, in a procession through the streets of Valencia. Campos says with evident delight, "They had finally found me." Yet the family still had to wait for his liberation. 2 years later, Moises was allowed to spend the summer holidays with them. At the age of 14, he was allowed to continue his studies in Jaén, closer to his family, but he was not given complete freedom to make his own decisions until he was 21. Upon reaching that magic age, however, he was free to marry, to leave Spain, not to have to attend the Falangist camps, nor to go to Catholic shrines like Lourdes, nor attend Mass, all of which was noted by the police. Campos is now 60 years old and has just published his autobiography. He says that 4 years ago he wrote to the Catholic Archbishopric of Madrid, asking for his name to be removed from their electoral roll as, "In no way do I wish to belong to a community in which I was maltreated." But so far he has received no reply. So much for ecumenical advance in Spain. Thank you for listening to Letter from England, broadcasting each week at emission.net. Goodbye for now.
Emisión.net